someone reaches out to you, they've got grounds enough to base that the fact that their partner may be cheating on them. If someone's listening right now and they suspect that their partner is cheating, what's the first red flag that you normally ask or you look for, or that you hear that you're probably like, you know what, I think we've got a good case here?
Typically it's when they're hiding their cell phone. Like that's a big one. Like when they're like, oh, I tried to, like maybe I was looking up the weather on my partner's phone and they were looking a little bit anxious, or they don't really let me, like they bring their phone with them to the bathroom all the time, or if they go to the kitchen, like they're bringing it everywhere with them. They're being a little bit more secretive with that. That's a number one. So initially we just start with like a phone consultation. We'll just have like an hour, go through like everything, like why do you think the cheating's happening, when is it happening, what's their work schedule. We nail everything down to a T. And then there's a lot of things that'll happen where like we want the other person, if we're really trying to catch the infidelity, we want the other person to be like kind of caught up in something. There's been a lot of majority of our clients are South Asian and Punjabi. So we have to figure out a lot about like how like the trucking companies work, how they operate.
Why trucking?
Why trucking? There's just been a lot of trucking people. I think the industry right now has become very like oversaturated. A lot of people are doing it, and so there's actually been a little bit of a pinch. Like people aren't really making tons of money in trucking anymore. Denial or anything. Like they sometimes saying, I hope you don't find anything, I hope you don't, but typically when we show them, they always believe it, and there's never any denial.
Right. Okay, so the difference between working with Punjabi clients and other communities, what's the biggest difference that you see?
Punjabi is mostly just infidelity. Like it's big on the cheating stuff. Like if they think the other party is being unfaithful, they want to figure out what's going on.
And then who do you get hired by, clients, or do you get it by CRA, or who puts you on those cases?
It's mostly individuals who have just had bad experiences with so-and-so businesses. But then later on in our investigations, if we have enough evidence, we will give tips to CRA.
How do cheaters make your job easier? Being in public, anything else?
Yeah, being in public, driving the same car. Wearing the same clothes, because then it's easy to identify them in public. There's been even files where like we won't, like maybe we did a couple months of surveillance, nothing came of it. Okay, they're not cheating, that's our conclusion. But then 2 months later we're on a different file and I see that old subject come into the restaurant. I'm like, oh, that's so and so, and then I'll look, oh, they're meeting up with some guy or whatever, and then I'll switch over. I'll be running 2 files at the same time.
Oh my goodness.
And so sometimes you just
that happens. ਸੋ ਸ਼ੇਰੇ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੇ ਮਾਈਕ ਤੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਅੱਜ ਸੁਣਨ ਵਾਲੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਹਾਂ ਇਸ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਬਾਰੇ ਜੋ ਆਮ ਤੌਰ ਸਿਰਫ ਇੱਕ ਮੂਵੀਜ਼ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਬਾਲੀਵੁੱਡ ਮੂਵੀਜ਼, ਹਾਲੀਵੁੱਡ ਮੂਵੀਜ਼ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਪਾਂ ਵੇਖਦੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਧੋਖਾ ਦੇਣਾ, ਠੱਗੀ ਕਰਨੀ, ਅਤੇ ਕੁਛ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਫਰਾਡਸ ਤੋਂ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਐਕਸਪੋਜ਼ ਕਰਨਾ। ਸੋ ਅੱਜ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਬੈਠੇ ਆ ਇੱਕ ਅਸਲੀ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਦੇ, ਆਪਾਂ ਕਹਿ ਸਕਦੇ Sherlock of Surrey. I would like to call him as Brandon Bodernachuk, and hopefully I said that right. I probably didn't, but ਆਪਾਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਕਲੀਅਰ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਸੋ BBI ਇਨਵੈਸਟੀਗੇਸ਼ਨਸ ਤੋਂ ਇੱਕ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਵੇਟ ਇਨਵੈਸਟੀਗੇਟਰ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ। ਸੋ ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸੋਚਦੇ ਸਿਰਫ ਕੰਪਨੀਜ਼ ਜਾਂ ਹੋਰ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਲੋਕ ਇਹ ਹਾਇਰ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਗਲਤ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ। ਕਿ ਸਾਡੇ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਭਾਈਚਾਰੇ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਆ ਨੰਬਰ 1 ਕਲਾਇੰਟਸ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ ਜੋ ਕਿ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਹਾਇਰ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ। ਸੋ ਅੱਜ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ, ਅਸਲੀ ਸਟੋਰੀਜ਼ ਬਾਰੇ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ, ਅਤੇ ਕੁਛ ਰਾਜ਼ ਵੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਖੋਲ੍ਹਦੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ। ਅਤੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਇਹ ਇੰਟਰਵਿਊ ਹੈ ਇੰਗਲਿਸ਼ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੋਗੀ, ਅਤੇ ਜੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਟਰਾਂਸਲੇਸ਼ਨ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਸ਼ੋਅ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਪਰ ਵੈਸੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਇੰਗਲਿਸ਼ ਹੀ ਜਾਣਦੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ। So today we're pulling back the curtain on a world most of us only hear about in movies, whether it's Bollywood or in Hollywood, from catching cheaters to exposing frauds. The man sitting with us today has probably seen it all, and he's still very young, I'll tell you that. And yes, many of our own Punjabi families in BC have called him when life got messy. So please welcome the real life Sherlock of Surrey, Brandon Bodernachuk from BBI Investigation. So we're going to talk to him about, what goes on behind the scenes when someone hires a private investigator. He's the owner. He's an expert people turn to when the truth really matters. So again, uncovering, whether it's affairs, helping law firms locate people to serve documents. Brandon combines smart surveillance with a deep research to get clear answers. And always, I'm assuming, and I know probably with discretion and professionalism. Yeah. So today we're going to dive into this world of private investigation and ask the questions you've all been curious about. So आवाज ਉੱਚੀ ਕਰ ਲਓ, ਚਾਹ ਦਾ ਕੱਪ ਚੁੱਕੋ ਜਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਮਰਜ਼ੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਚੁੱਕੋ, ਪਰ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਜੀ ਅੱਜ ਦੱਸਦੇ ਹਾਂ. So Brandon, I want to welcome you to the show. Thank you so much for coming out today.
Thank you for having me.
Brandon, you are plastered all over social media. This is how I discovered you. You're on TikTok, you're on Instagram, and my God, you make your job look like you're having so much fun.
Yes, I am.
You are, yeah.
Yeah, I would say there's a big thing. Like there's a lot of hate comments saying like, you're a private investigator. Why are you posting your face?
Yeah.
You know, why are you doing this? Like, but I mean, there's right when I started the business, there was two ways that I could have gone with it.
Mm-hmm.
I could either go super private and just kind of have the name and just have our work kind of show for ourselves, or I can kind of bring my personality into it, you know, try to have some fun with it, post my face. And the one thing I realized, like when people are hiring people, they want to just know the person.
Mm-hmm.
And when after you watch a few videos of just someone, you know, talking about being a PI, they just feel like a connection to that person.
Yeah, because it's not easy trying to say,
right.
you know, can you
Snoop
on this person for me, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's people's really deep issues they don't even talk about with their own family.
Mm-hmm.
So what's going to make them call a PI? They need to feel like they have a connection with them. They need to feel like they've seen them before.
Mm-hmm.
They need to look at the previous like reviews and kind of know that that's someone that they can trust.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of, I found there's more reward in posting my face versus not.
Mm-hmm.
And plus we run a company, so there's lots of other surveillance investigators. There's other investigators that can do the undercover work.
So you've got a team.
And yeah, we have a team,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, I can kind of just be the face of the company, and it's been working out so far.
Yeah, so it's better than being a secret.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Now, we talked when I first reached out to you. I said, hey, I want you on my show. And, you know, I want to talk about the South Asian or the Punjabis. Okay. And you said, hey, Suki, you know what? They're like one of my top clients. Like 100%. How many % of Punjabis do you have?
If I go through like our client list, yeah, there's a lot of Singhs, a lot of Sandhus. I would say probably around 75% of our clients are South Asian.
Wow.
Majority of them from India, for sure.
What's the number one reason why they call you? Is it fraud? Is it cheating spouses? Is it business disputes? Tell me all. Just be raw.
In the South Asian community, it is 90%, I would say 80% infidelity. 20% a business relationship that's gone sour, or someone has screwed somebody over for money, mm-hmm. and they just need to track them down to serve the papers or to help them draft a lawsuit.
Wow.
Yes.
So you said most of it is cheating spouses or boyfriends or girlfriends. And is it them that call you, or is it family members?
It's mostly the individual will call me. Sometimes there's like a friend will call just because the other person was very nervous about making that call. Mm-hmm. And so typically a friend will call for a friend, and then they'll relay like the quote or the initial information mm-hmm. to them. And then a lot of people also want to meet in person, which I totally understand. Like mm-hmm. they want to trust me and trust, you know, so we do our meetings as well in person and yeah, so.
So do you think our community trusts investigators like yourself more than they trust the police in some certain situations?
100%. There's been a lot of the calls that I get are people saying I've called the police and they didn't do anything, mm-hmm. especially when it comes to like stolen vehicles. Mm-hmm. Like for example, if you had like someone as a secondary insurer on your car, and so you kind of had a relationship with that person and they were the second insurer, and let's say you bought the car though and you pay the insurance. Right. If you go and you cancel them off the insurance mm-hmm. and they go and they took your car and drove it across Canada, the police technically aren't going to see that as a stolen car. Oh. Because they were on the secondary insurance. Okay. So it becomes a civil matter, and that's kind of where we come in, where we track down the vehicle, we draft the civil claim, we get them served, and then we have to go down to all the court proceedings in order to get the order to take the vehicle back. Wow.
So you see a lot of people lying on these insurance claims, and you see a lot of these claims coming up with vehicles as well.
100%. Yeah. Just a lot of people. Yeah. I feel like just a lot of people are comfortable. Like, you know, sometimes, you know, police are kind of overworked these days. I mean, a lot of people aren't. I think social media has kind of made becoming a cop seen as a little bit frowned upon, because it's kind of, you know, if you do one wrong mistake as a cop, you're on social media, everyone hates you, you're this and you're that. And I think a lot of young people have kind of shied away from the policing industry, and so that's why a lot of the agencies are struggling to hire people. And then now there's more stress on the cops to deal with all these major criminal things, but then they're getting some other issues, and they don't have time to deal with the smaller issues, and that's where they're coming on to us. I wouldn't say they're smaller issues, but they're more like family issues, domestic issues, personal kind of more problems. And those are all getting pushed onto private investigators due to kind of police being a little bit understaffed, I think.
Or the lack of them being on it.
Correct.
I'm going to get back into the cheating part of it.
Okay, let's go.
You know, let's go back into that, right? Because I think that's kind of the masala here.
Yes.
So obviously, when someone reaches out to you, they've got grounds enough to be, base that the fact that their partner may be cheating on them. If someone's listening right now and they suspect that their partner is cheating,
Yep.
what's the first red flag that you normally ask or you look for, or that you hear that you're probably like, you know what? Yeah, I think we've got a good case here.
Typically, it's when they're hiding their cell phone. Like, that's a big one. Like, when they're like, oh, I tried to, like maybe I was looking up the weather on my partner's phone and they were looking a little bit anxious, or, they don't really let me, like, they bring their phone with them to the bathroom all the time, or if they go to the kitchen, like, they're bringing it everywhere with them. They're being a little bit more secretive with that. That's a number one.
Mm-hmm.
And another one would maybe be probably if they say they've bought a bunch of like new clothes off like Amazon, they've ordered in some, some new dresses, or even like some other garments. That's a big one.
They're starting to look better. They're starting to
they
like
start
take
doing
care of
their makeup.
themselves. Their makeup starting to smell good.
Exactly. Those
Okay.
ones. Maybe they'll start a new routine too. Like they'll start going to the gym, or maybe it's a hobby of the other man that they could be fooling around with. Like maybe he likes to fish, or maybe he likes to go work out. So they start doing these
Impressing
things
each other.
or showing interest in them. So you'll kind of just see a slow kind of progression towards, those sort of avenues.
So when you hear that, you kind of know, okay, you've got a good basis. There's probably a strong case. So,
Yes.
how do you start then? Like,
Yeah.
how do you start? Like,
Yeah.
one, it's awkward probably for the person that's telling you this. Like, hey,
Yeah.
Brandon, I have this problem. I need to hire you. But you basically need to kind of find out their whole history. Like, that must be really long.
Yes, like you're talking about the whole background
Yeah,
of like the
yeah.
clients. Yeah, so initially we just start with like a phone consultation. We'll just have like an hour, go through like everything. Like, why do you think the cheating's happening? When is it happening? What's their work schedule? We nail everything down to a T. And then there's a lot of things that'll happen where like we want the other person, if we're really trying to catch the infidelity, we want the other person to be like kind of caught up in something.
Okay.
Like that other person knows that they're working, or they know they're on a work trip to Kelowna. So, I have this whole weekend by myself. That's when the cheater is going to go, this is the weekend where I'm going to arrange with my other, other person. So that's also a big one. There's even been times where like a partner will say, go visit your parents back east in Ontario. I'll pay for the flight. I'll pay for
So
flight.
they willingly want you to go have
They
like,
willingly, they'll
yeah.
pay like the ticket. And I've had clients tell me like, like I know something's up. They would never pay for my plane ticket. Like I know, you know what I mean? Like there's that sort of stuff. So yeah, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it starts with that. And then once you get kind of the ground feel of, everything, then you start your investigation.
That's
so
correct.
Brandon, does he get in his vehicle? Does he go on social media? What does he do? Like, and we know you have a team, but, where does it start?
Yeah, so it initially starts with a new client intake form. So they kind of fill in all the previous back info. When it comes to actually catching the cheating, we do covert surveillance. So that's where you set up, outside their workplace, on their street, and you're there for hours, and you just wait for that car to go active, wait for them to leave their house, and then you follow them, you see what they do. You take covert video, you get as close as you can. If they go into a cactus club, you're going to follow them in there. You're going to get a table. You're going to hopefully bring in another PI. And then you're going to use your covert equipment, which is typically going to be things that are set up on the table that are posing as natural items. And they're going to be filming the interaction maybe across the dining room there. And if you do have to engage with them, well, you can do so at your discretion. But I mean, ideally, you want to sit back, just order some food, be natural, be in normal clothing, and just kind of film the interaction, that whatever they're getting up to.
Wow. Yeah. And, for catches or to kind of, grind someone and say, you know what, yeah, we've caught them red-handed. How long does that typically take you think?
I've had some files that are wrapped up in one day. Like
wow.
Sometimes, we'll even
That
go
fast.
we'll drive to their house, and then there's an unknown vehicle like parked in the driveway. We'll track back that vehicle of who it is, and it's the man that that guy
The
thought
suspect,
it was.
yeah.
So there we go. There's been some like that.
Yeah.
And then there's others that have actually been probably panned over like 3-month period, where the cheating is very like sporadic, not all the time. So it does take some time. So
Right. Now, do you, you just provide like this surveillance that you have kind of in a file form to the person that's hired you, or do you actually go and approach these people? Like, do you actually catch them red-handed and say, you know what, hey, we just busted you? So how does that work?
So typically when we get the evidence of them, meeting up with another person, cheating, kissing another party, etc., we'll typically we'll send it to the client. We want to make sure we send it afterwards because some of these things can get very heated.
Ooh.
And I've heard some stories in the past where people have actually sent, a PI will send a live photo of their partner kissing somebody else, and they've gotten very furious and they'll pull up. They'll drive, they'll come.
It can be dangerous.
It can be dangerous. So you have to be very professional. You afterwards you talk to the client, you make sure they're all calm, and then you send
when
them.
you're breaking the news, right?
You're breaking the news, yeah. So you send them all the info. You're kind of like a therapist as well. You're there, it's okay. You're going to find somebody else.
Oh, bless you, Brandon.
You do your best.
Bless your heart.
Oh,
yeah, that's really tough. Yeah, to break it. Okay.
Yeah.
And so you try to do it after the fact.
You do it after the fact.
Okay.
And, we do give them live updates and stuff because people do want to know what's going on and they want to make sure we're out there doing a good job. So we do give them some updates. But, in terms of the actual hard concrete evidence that might elicit an emotional response, we're going to hold that for after. And then typically there's been times where sometimes they won't even show the other person. They just want to be like, hey, I'm done with this. We're getting divorced. I got enough. They won't even show. The other partner might be confused, but deep down they know themselves. So that's good. There's other people that are a little bit more got that little bit of sass or vindictive where they like to kind of say, oh, where were you last night?
Right. Just playing it even more.
And then they say, oh, I was at my friends. And they go, oh yeah. And they pull up the photo. And then it's a big, but yeah, there's that. And then there's other times where we'll actually serve them the evidence. We also do process serving of legal documents. So we'll put it in a discrete folder and we'll knock on their door and we'll physically hand it to them and then we'll leave without a trace.
Right. And, but no actual, any of these cheating instances where you actually say, hey, you know what, I'm a PI hired by your wife or your husband and, we just caught you and we're going to let them know. There's none of that. It's basically you're just liable to the client.
None of that. Okay. We just don't want to, because that person would be very, anytime you do anything wrong and you tell somebody, oh, we just caught you cheating, they're going to be very pissed off. So we don't want to, You don't want to
open up that can of worms, even though it's a different one.
It'd be a fight probably.
So, obviously you don't have to deal with liars or any of that fact that, because you're not dealing with them directly. But what's one case, Brandon, that's kept you awake at night, the one that you'll never forget?
The one that I'll never forget is probably one. It was a missing persons file in Vancouver. It was a Punjabi family. It was an individual who went missing from the Harbour Event Center, actually right at the Plaza of Nations. And I actually worked it with another PI, the recovery agency, and we were hired by the family. And this was a gentleman, very loved by the community. He worked as a plumber. Everything was good. And just one night he ran away from the Harbour Event Center there at Plaza of Nations and he walked down and he just disappeared. And so we were investigating. We went down there. We pulled all the surveillance footage from all the nearby condos. We talked to all the individuals at the nearby businesses, all that stuff. And then it was about 3 weeks into the investigation. Yeah, his body did resurface. It was found by a man on a ski-doo. And it was just, I got that text message and the photo and it just broke my heart. I was out with my girlfriend and that's
heartbreaking.
It was heartbreaking. Yeah.
When you do any of these cases, obviously, there's outcomes that you want and then there's outcomes you don't want. So obviously this was one you didn't want. You were hoping for some better news.
Yeah.
When you put yourself on these files, you take the case on and, you must get attached to the client as well in a way because, they've opened up, everything about them. And, there's probably a part of you that doesn't, obviously you want to be able to give them closure. But there's probably part of you that battles with that inside, I hope this isn't true. I hope I'm not going to break up their family. But, at the end of the day, you do give them that news that, eventually breaks their family. How does that make you feel when you're put in that predicament? Obviously, it's something that they probably would have found out maybe down the road or they wanted to find it out sooner. That's why you're in the picture. But, essentially, you're the one that's, the bearer of the bad news.
100%. I just kind of see it as a job I have to do. This is what they hired us to do, to get certain evidence for something. And unfortunately, there's not always going to be great outcomes for it. But they hired us to do this. And so I believe that it's in the ultimate scheme of things, the truth is very important. And I think that them knowing and us just doing our job is that's what we were hired to do. So we're going to do it.
Now, how do you keep this stuff confidential, right? Because how can you get into these cases without, obviously, privacy is a big thing without invading that or getting too aggressive. Yeah. How does that work?
So every single client that we have on, they sign a confidentiality agreement with us through DocuSign. And then we make sure that whenever we're conducting our investigations, a lot of the stuff we do post on social media, a lot of that stuff isn't fully, you know, we got to make sure that we get like approval from the client and other stuff like this. So yeah, when we're conducting investigations, we just sign a confidentiality agreement, and we just follow like the proper laws and procedures. And
Right. Now, you've recently been to some Punjabi weddings. Did you go there to eat butter chicken or do bhangla?
Just tiki masala. The UK.
And I'm sure that wasn't the only reason. Tell me more.
Well, that one, I was just like, that was just a little idea that we had. We had a call in from a client, and they said they had that potential file.
Yeah.
It hasn't came to be yet, but yeah, I was just like, I was at the one of those, I don't even know what you call those, like one of those shops where you'd buy some of the traditional Indian clothing, and I was just nearby there. I just thought I'd take a little video, a little joke, kind of say like, oh, should I buy this or should I buy this? Yeah.
Great. So, you know, you have to like, you know, dress up and do the part. Like, you know, you're going to like weddings and stuff. So anyone attending a wedding, beware, right?
Yeah, beware. You never know if you see a white guy there.
Yeah, exactly. So everyone's going to, and you know what they call the white guy in Punjabi?
What do they call them?
Gora.
Gora?
Yeah. So if you see the Gora guy. So I'm going to help you polish up your Punjabi a little bit. What other words do you know?
In Punjabi? I know just like Sastadikal, Panjis and Panjis.
Bajis and Panjis.
Panjis and Panjis.
Yeah.
And then I just know that one gentleman, he's on TikTok and Reels. His name's like Janjeet Singh.
Okay, yeah.
So I just know like the prayer, like what? Waheguru Ji Khalsa.
Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Oh, very good.
That's like that's the Punjabi prayer, right?
It is.
And then I just know a couple other words, but we won't say those on here.
No, we don't want you to say those words. Brandon, have you ever been hired by a husband and wife, both, to spy on each other? Has that ever happened?
Yes, I have.
Really? Husband and wife both hired you?
Both called me. Yep.
Oh my God, tell me more.
I was working for the wife.
Yeah.
It was an infidelity file on the husband. And then about 2 weeks into the investigation, the husband called us. And we have like an application that I can identify phone numbers so we know who's calling before we pick it up. I can see the name on there, and it's our subject of the investigation.
Oh my God.
So we just didn't pick up the call, but I would be assuming that he's calling regarding hiring us.
Oh my goodness. But you can't because it's conflict of interest, obviously, right? Oh my gosh. So at the end of that file, did you kind of find out who was cheating on who?
That one actually didn't. We didn't have any evidence of him cheating, but we caught some other stuff, like him partying, him doing some other stuff that wasn't too good. So she wasn't, she was still happy.
What's the one case that shocked you so much? Something, I mean, obviously you've talked about something that you'll never forget, which was that, but, you know, was there anything else that you were kind of like, oh my God, and you knew you wanted an LOL moment, you know, where you're just like, okay, I need to find a wall or a corner to laugh in. Like, this is just crazy.
Like something happened that like was making me laugh.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, there was one moment where I was doing an investigation. It was like an undercover file. It's like a real estate file. It was interesting. We were doing like a showing undercover. And then when I came out of the undercover op, I was walking down the street, just going back to my vehicle, and I looked over across the street, and there was one of my contract investigators was like sitting there, just on the street.
Okay,
like one of my investigators that work for my company.
Oh my goodness!
And he's sitting there, and I was like, you know, so and so, what are you doing here? And then he was like, oh, I'm working a file, and I was like, what the heck? And then he was like, we ended up figuring out it was like the same file that we were working, but he was working for like a different company.
Oh my goodness.
So it was just like,
so everybody was on it.
Weird seeing like my guy like out here working, and I was just in there. So he's like, it was just,
That's crazy. Now, do you have a lot of people on your team that are Punjabi or South Asian? Because, you know, I see you all the time. You're always crossing over, you live in Maple Ridge, but you're always crossing over the Alex Fraser Bridge because you're always going into Surrey. So tell me more about, you know, you kind of, I guess, investigating or kind of trying to get to know the South Asian or the Punjabi culture, because that's probably a really big part of your job.
Yeah, there's been a lot of, majority of our clients are South Asian and Punjabi. So, you know, we have to figure out a lot about like how like the trucking companies work, how they operate.
Why trucking?
Like,
Why trucking?
There's just been a lot of trucking people. I think the industry right now has become very like oversaturated. A lot of people are doing it. And so there's actually been a little bit of a pinch. Like people aren't really making tons of money in trucking anymore. So a lot of companies I see are just screwing people over. Like they'll say, hey, do my load, you know, go to Texas, deliver this, and we'll pay you this. And then they just go there, they deliver it, tons of time, tons of kilometers, like, and they won't just pay the guy. They just won't pay him because they're just struggling.
And,
like
how do you step into that?
We would step into that we typically will just provide legal assistance. So we'll help them draft a notice of claim in small claims. If it's over $35,000, We'll also help them draft a supreme civil matter regarding this. We'll track down the individual with the softwares that we have, so we can serve them the documentation and finally apply justice for them. Yeah,
Right.
and get them paid.
There is a lot of times that you probably, I mean, obviously everything is secretive. You know, you deal with a lot of secrets, but has there ever been a time you thought, okay, this client is actually the problem?
Yes, for sure. You have to do a little bit of background on your clients when you're getting calls from them, because sometimes they are like a little bit, on the crazier side, or you're thinking like, oh my God, like they're going way too deep into this, like, and so, or sometimes they'll suggest like doing crazy things. Like we've been suggested like you have to crash into the subject to get their information to like give us their driver's license and give us this. And I'm like,
oh my goodness.
Yeah, no, like we're not doing that. So there's been some
Okay. So
stuff.
if they asked you kind of do stuff that's out of the box for you that you will not do, what's the most craziest thing you've been asked to do that you're just like, absolutely no?
There was one where there was a family, like a divorce matter. And it was, I believe there's some child custody and child support kind of disagreements within their claim. And I believe the wife was claiming that she was making only like $20,000 on paper. But the husband knows that she makes very good money and a lot of cash money. And so what she was doing is she was working at one of those like kind of Thai massage places where later in the night it gets a little, so-and-so.
Happier? Yeah.
It gets a little happier, yeah, whatever you want to say. And she was bringing in well over $100,000.
Wow.
And so they wanted us to go undercover and, kind of collect the money, get some covert video in there and kind of then provide an affidavit after to assist in, his claim saying that she does make more money. This is a complete lie. This is right when I started out, and I was, I wasn't really super popular in social media. So I was like, okay, I'll go undercover and I'll do this. But then I just thought of it in my head of just going in there and just doing that. I've never been that type of person. And so at the end of the day, I just told them, hey, you know what? I'm just uncomfortable doing this.
Yeah.
And so we did turn it down. But there's been
That's
some
crazy.
crazy requests like that.
That's crazy. Okay. Now, I know there's going to be a lot of drama when you expose someone's other half cheating on them. So, are Punjabis known to be very dramatic? Or, when you tell them, where they break down or they refuse to believe it? Like, what are the reactions you've gotten? And, I shouldn't be laughing at anyone's expense, but I'm pretty sure you've seen the dramatic Punjabi side. So tell me a little bit more about that.
100%. I'd say with the Punjabi families, it's kind of like a family thing. It's not just the relationship, it's the family.
Yeah.
The other party has to show their family, hey, look, this is what's happening. This is why we're doing this and this. Where I'd say more like in the traditional Canadian, it's more like their marriage is kind of seen as their marriage. Where this is like in the Punjabi community, family seems to be very important.
You nailed it.
It's always about that. And so they need to get everybody on their side, it kind of feels like. They don't want to be just alone against all, like their family as well as their family. Because, they obviously will typically be in like arranged marriages. So, obviously the parents, they really like that side. That's why they put them together.
It's a whole family affair.
Exactly. So you really have to show that they, did mess up, did cheat or did something else that really goes against the traditional marital values. And, but I would say a lot of the time, the Punjabis, when they call me, they say, hey, I know he's cheating or I know she's cheating. Go and get it.
Go and get it.
That's what they say a lot of the time.
and when it's confirmed, then the most craziest response. Like, have you had actually where someone like denial, even though they know it, and even though you've proved it, or just that mental breakdown where you've had to duck? Like, has there been anything of that sort?
Yeah, there's been a lot where like maybe they'll break down on the phone, like start crying, and you just have to reassure them. But there's never been like denial or anything. Like they sometimes saying, I hope you don't find anything. I hope you don't. But typically when we show them, they always believe it, and there's never any denial.
Right. Okay. So the difference between working with Punjabi clients and, other communities, what's the biggest difference that you see?
Biggest difference, I would say Punjabi is mostly just infidelity. Like it's big on the cheating stuff. Like if they think the other party is being unfaithful, they want to figure out what's going on. And they want to resolve it. Like it's mostly that. And then a lot of like I said, just in the trucking industry, there's also like a lot of stuff going on in the immigration space where I feel a lot of companies are potentially taking like additional funds that they're not supposed to bring people over into Canada. And they make a lot of money here in Canada, a lot of the immigration firms.
And then who do you get hired by, clients, or do you get it by CRA, or who puts you on those cases?
It's mostly individuals who have just had bad experiences with so-and-so businesses. But then later on in our investigations, if we have enough evidence, we will give tips to CRA
Right.
Or border services as well.
Okay. In one sentence, what's the biggest mistake cheaters make that gets them caught?
Biggest mistake that gets them caught? Okay. I would say just being careless, like just doing stuff out in public. Because, as private investigators, we can't go behind, we're not going to go and break into your condo building when were you doing so-and-so. Like, we have to collect all of our evidence in public. So anything that you're doing anything in public, we're going to catch you. So yeah, I would say just I'm not going to give any tips or cheaters, but I guess it kind of is.
Well, if you did, what makes, your job, how do cheaters make your job easier? Being in public, anything else?
Yeah, being in public, driving the same car,
Uh-huh.
wearing the same clothes, because then it's easy to identify them in public.
Yeah.
There's been even files where we won't, maybe we did a couple months of surveillance, nothing came of it. Okay, they're not cheating. That's our conclusion. But then 2 months later, we're on a different file, and I see that old subject come into the restaurant. I'm like, oh, that's so-and-so. And then I'll look, oh, they're meeting up with some guy or whatever. And then I'll switch over. I'll be running 2 files at the same time.
Oh my goodness.
And so, sometimes you just...
That happens.
Yeah.
What's the most common fraud Punjabi families in BC are involved with?
The most common fraud?
Mm-hmm.
Most common fraud that Punjabi family... I would just say, I don't know, it seems to be a little bit in the immigration space. Maybe coming to Canada on good work permits, working, but then maybe going off and working for another company that they're not authorized to do so. Or maybe their work permit expires, they don't leave, and they just keep working for cash. I've seen a few of those as well.
Yeah,
so,
I think you've nailed it down. I think you kind of know, the backbone or what happens kind of behind the scenes, what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you had to describe Punjabis as clients in 3 words, what would those 3 words be?
As clients, okay. Motivated. They just have that drive. I love it with them. They're very much just motivated.
Just
they call you, they
eh?
know what they want. They're go-getters. You know what I mean? They want to get that evidence. They go and they get it. You tell them the price. They're like, yes, let's do it. They agree upon it. Boom, done. They're very simple like that. As clients, they're very open people. They tend to just tell me everything and just, they open up, and they're very easy to connect with. Beautiful people. And then, what else? Maybe, I guess sometimes they're sometimes a little bit mistrusting of other Punjabi people. Maybe I don't know where that stems from, but I've had it I've told them oh, hey, I'm going to put one of my, it's in Surrey, so I'll put one of my Indian investigators on it, and they'll say some of them have said no, I don't want that. I'm like, what? That's kind of weird to me. I was like, what? But I guess some of them have a little bit of distrust amongst other people in the community, or maybe they don't want. Another thing I've heard as well is they don't want another Indian investigator just in case they're tied in within the community, because they're saying it's all connected.
Everyone knows everyone.
Yeah, but I'm like, how is that possible? There's so many people here.
In more ways than one, Brandon. In more ways than one, that we're all connected. How can, and this is the $1 million question that everyone wants me to ask and everyone's been waiting for, how can someone tell if they're being followed by a private investigator? How do you know?
How would they know? It would be the same vehicle following you. They would be, going into places with you. So if you see the same person over and over again, that's a sign. If there's a reason why there would be a PI on you, maybe you have a really paranoid wife or husband, maybe they think you're cheating, or maybe you have a certain insurance claim going on where there's a lot of money at stake for that company. They may have an incentive to hire a PI to kind of see if you really are injured or really are whatever you're claiming. And then, if there's someone set up outside of your neighborhood, a little bit down the way, same car, someone's sitting there. That sort of thing.
That's a flag right there.
For sure.
So now, places where people are using now for hookups, that kind of gets them in this trouble the most. What do you see? Is it people coming in, hey, I think my wife or husband's using, Instagram, Snapchat, WhatsApp, TikTok, even more. Are these do these cheaters get caught faster because of social media? Is that kind of something that's in now?
I would say no. I would say a lot of time they actually are they try to be very sneaky. They're on WhatsApp, they're on Signal, they're on the ones you can't access.
Okay.
To which then we run into some walls. So you just got to do the surveillance. Get out there when they finally meet up. Boom. Yeah.
What's more dangerous now for people? Is it their phone or their cars?
I would say It depends, like how, like, I mean, there's sometimes, like, I know there's a lot of my clients too will have access to their partner's phones and like they don't even know. So there's a lot of
Okay,
that stuff.
wow.
Like they'll know some of their passwords to the social medias and they'll have it on their own phones.
Yeah.
Yet the other partner has no idea about it. There's been a lot of that. I mean, sometimes the phones or your car can be tracked as well.
Okay.
And so both of those definitely pose a risk. Yeah.
Right. Now, sometimes it's easy to hide relationships or, lying to your partner. But in 2025, can you hide from a PI?
No, not for me. Not for me.
Said by the professional. Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
So it's difficult to get by. Like,
Yeah.
somewhere along the line, with surveillance or with, obviously, persistency, you are going to catch them.
I would say so. Like in anything in this world, like if you really want to get something, you will get it. Just go out there, put the hours in, be patient. It's not going to come in one day. Rome wasn't built in one night. So keep going and we'll eventually get the evidence. Yeah.
Who cheats smarter, younger couples or the older couples?
Who cheats smarter? I would say younger people tend to be a little bit more sneaky with it. They tend to be a little bit more electronic, like on the phones and stuff. And older people, like I found, like sometimes they're just like, in a backyard, you just like, I don't know, they kind of just do, like go out and stuff. They go for dinner more often.
They're more careless.
Or like, I don't know, the younger people are kind of more like, like in the backseat of a car, who knows, like, there's tons
They're
of
just more
stuff.
careful.
Yeah.
If you could ban one thing that would help cheaters cover their tracks, what would it be?
Ban one thing to help cheaters?
No, to cover their tracks, so, that make your job harder, obviously, so there's, like you said, the younger couples are smarter. So if there's one thing that you could ban that would cover their tracks, what would it be?
Like to make it my job easier?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that I can find them? Oh, interesting. Probably interesting. Probably just like having access. Like, I mean, it's you can't do that because of privacy, but I mean, having access to people's like messages, that sort of thing. Because then you could just see, oh, look, they're meeting
This
up
is
here.
where they're going.
This is where they're going. I see
Yeah.
the messages.
But you've got to physically follow them.
You got to physically follow them because I mean, there is a lot of like, there is hackers that can maybe get into some of this stuff, but all the major platforms like Instagram, Facebook, like they're hiring ethical hackers like on a monthly basis to get into their systems, hack, and then the ethical hackers say, look, this is the weakness. This is what you guys need to fix up. And then they fix it. And then now that hacking strategy that you knew how to get into is gone. It's gone within weeks. Wow. Like they're constantly hiring ethical hackers to break in, then they fix it, what they did, and then boom, it's a constant cycle. So even if you figured out how to hack into something, it's going to be changing in a month. So
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, has there ever been a time where you've gotten caught investigating or following? How did that turn out for you?
There has been.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I mean, it doesn't happen often, but I mean, there's going to be times you have to do like lots of hours of surveillance. Maybe the person's super paranoid. There's been times where, I've been like chased in traffic, like the guy's just running. I think someone like maybe saw us in our vehicle, like down the street. We were in tint, but it was a bit of a sunny day. Maybe they saw us filming and then they went up and told that person. Like it wasn't actually that person.
It wasn't them, but
figured
it was
out.
someone else that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they saw suspicious activity.
And he was actually like on that file, he was coming down the street with his girlfriend. And this is near the end of the surveillance, like end of the 12-hour day. And we just caught him moving his furniture, even though he was under like a work claim. So he was coming down the street. And I was thinking, like, this doesn't feel right. It's like something is weird. Like he called onto me or like something. I kind of thought like maybe he's just checking out the new area. But then he started coming to me and then he was one street away. And I said, no, what? This doesn't feel right.
Oh.
So I just put on my signal. I started driving away.
That intuition.
And he started
kicked in.
just running at me.
Oh, boy.
And so I just, took a quick left and just skirted out of there. And I was gone. But he was still like, I could look in my rearview mirrors, chasing me down the street. So there's been...
So it's not all fun and games.
It's not all fun and games. It gets your heart racing. Sometimes you're like, wow.
So,
gets you nervous.
Unforgettable moments, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm going to go and I'm going to ask you some quick fire round questions. And,
Sure.
I want to hear, and, we want to, pertain this more to kind of, when you keep in mind it's South Asian population, okay? More cheaters, men or women?
50-50, but men are more careless.
Men are more careless?
Yes.
Okay. Who lies better, men or women?
Who lies better? It's got to be women. It's got to be women. It's got to be women. They're the social experts.
Punjabis or
especially.
non-Punjabis?
Definitely just Punjabi. Yeah,
Punjabis lie better in general.
I think so.
Oh my gosh. Bigger cases, are they in Surrey or Vancouver?
In Surrey.
And you yourself or any other investigators recognized in public?
Have been recognized in public. Recently, I've been like blowing up on social media. So a couple times when I'm just filing affidavits at the courthouse or, I'm out and about at like Chipotle or something, I've had a couple of people say, hey, you're that PI from Instagram. And I'm like, oh no, this is getting to that point. So yeah, I'm doing less surveillance now, less undercover work, more online research, more handing off my files to other investigators. Yeah.
Ever been offered a bribe? A bribe?
A bribe? Mm-hmm. Like to get...
Yeah, if someone's, know that, you're investigating them, say, hey, like, let me pay you this. Don't tell my wife. Don't tell my husband. Yeah.
I actually haven't. Because they don't know until later on and it's done with, right? So...
Right.
Yes.
So, Shere, kind of another unforgettable or funny moment dealing with Punjabi families that you can actually share on air.
Okay. Another funny moment with Punjabi families?
Or shocking or something that was just like, oh my God, like an OMG moment for you.
Yeah. Let's see, that's not too confidential.
Yeah, because you know what? Most Punjabis are listening in today, so you don't want it to be one of your clients.
There's been like, I don't know, a couple files where it's like some people, like it's involving individuals who kind of like operate also like in India, but they also operate in here and they're like in the Bollywood community. So there's like been some famous people that are kind of famous in India, but they kind of in the movie scene.
Okay.
We've done some investigations on some individuals like that. And
no way.
That's always cool. Yeah.
Is there anything that you can drop as a hint or like,
Unfortunately, no, I don't want it because they probably have money too. So I don't want to drop any names or anything.
Okay. So people in the like actual music Bollywood industry that you've done. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So you were a celebrity PI.
That's right.
All right, that's crazy. Now, this was such a fun interview for me. Like, I shouldn't be laughing at other people's expenses, but, this is really cool, the job that you do. And, I know a lot of us, like, I always say, like, one of my best friends, if I need any information, I just tell her, I'm like, hey, yes. I need information on this. And I kid you not. And I don't know how this girl goes through stuff and she's able to come back with me with a whole 411 on a person.
Okay.
She's great. Like, I love her. She's like, she's a PI. She's like my manager. And, so she does it for free. But what if she wants to get paid for it? Do you have any courses? Do you offer this? How can someone join your team if they want to? Because sometimes we're just a natural. Know something's off. You're able to figure it out. You've got that that PI intuition. You've got that eye, and you have that knack, and it's something you don't mind. You don't mind sitting in a car for hours.
Yep. So we offer a 2-day private investigation course through BBI Investigations. One day we just do it online. We just go through all of our softwares, attaining people's addresses, financial info, all that good stuff. Debts, mortgage history, assets. Anything that's just beneficial. So we kind of teach all that in one day. And then the second day we do like a in-person kind of like surveillance training, like tactics, some undercover techniques, stuff like that. It's offered at just $800 plus GST for the 2 days. It's 2 8-hour days complete. And it's also one-on-one with myself.
Nice.
I did that course because the licensing course is through the Private Security Knowledge Network. It's $600. It takes probably maybe a few months to kind of go through the modules and then take the final exam. And that's how you actually get licensed as a PI in BC.
It's a rewarding career, right? If someone's looking to do a job, like 2 days, $800, and you're having fun.
Oh yeah, it's a very rewarding career. Like even if you don't even become a PI later on, just knowing like things like if someone screws you over, like you can just get their address and go serve them legal documents.
That's crazy.
Or, maybe like something happened, just to know how to get info like that is just huge in anyone's life. So I recommend it to anyone. And just want to touch a little bit light on the Private Security Knowledge Network course. That course will take about 3 months to do. And then afterwards, you just file the certificate with the province, pay for your licensing fees, and then you become a PI under supervision. And then once you get 2,500 hours in the field, you become a fully licensed PI. And then you can operate your own firm like myself.
And you're only 27 and you're killing it out there.
That's right.
We want to hear more about this in future interviews because we only have about 30 seconds left. But a quick question, I'm going to put you on the spot. What's the oldest Punjabi couple that you've ever caught cheating?
Oldest Punjabi couple?
Yeah.
Actually, not too old. It's mostly like the middle age. I would say maybe late 50s.
Late 50s.
Late 50s.
Late 50s.
Yeah.
Okay. And what about, you and your girlfriend? Like, how are things in that? Have you ever, like, kind of looked at her with, like, or has she ever looked at you like...
I'm actually quite surprised. I'm not a very like anxious person. I'm very chill. I'm like the chill boyfriend. Like I trust you, you trust me.
Yeah.
Let's kind of just roll with it.
Okay.
you know, but yeah, that's kind of
Anything in closing, Brandon, that you wanna put out there, your handles where people can follow you and a phone number that you'd like to share, please go ahead.
Yep. So you can find us on Google or Google Business, BBI Investigations. Our phone number is 778-513-3921. You can also reach us on Instagram at BBI_investigations or on TikTok at Brandon Bondarchuk 77.
And we're going to have this, our interview up on YouTube and, you know, just kind of, you know, the fun stuff that you've been through. But you know what? Thank you for going out there and, you know, I think giving people the peace of mind that they deserve in relationships. It's not easy.
Yep.
And I think once someone breaks that loyalty and that trust, that's it. It's game over. It's hard to accept, you know, but someone who I think is caring, and I think, and I'm going to say it in Punjabi, jehdi hamdardi hai, ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, it's something that's really tough to cope with. And I think, you know, there's no better person out there than you. So thank you for, you know, being active on social media and letting us know that, you know what, we're not the only ones. You know, if someone's going through it, you know, there's other people that are, you know, dealing with something similar. You have a professional, you've got a professional team, and you know, there's job opportunities because we always have people calling, looking for jobs and, you know, how they can get the proper training. So I look forward to having you back with more stories and more updates, and maybe we'll talk a little bit more about the actual course itself. But thank you so much for joining us, and I'm sure you'll be getting a few calls.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. ਉਮੀਦ ਕਰਦੀ ਜੀ ਅੱਜ ਦਾ ਸ਼ੋਅ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਪਸੰਦ ਆਇਆ ਹੋਵੇਗਾ। ਵਕਤ ਆ ਗਿਆ ਅਲਵਿਦਾ ਕਹਿਣ ਦਾ। ਸੋ ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਬ੍ਰਾਂਡਨ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਨੀ ਹੈ, ਜੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਕਿ ਸ਼ਾਇਦ ਕਿਸੇ ਦਾ ਰਾਜ਼ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਖਿਮੋਰੇ ਲਿਆਉਣ ਵਾਲਾ ਹੈਗਾ, ਤਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਸੰਪਰਕ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ।